Good morning, Year 6. It's Mr. Forrester again, and today's assembly is all about creativity and how we can use our creativity in everyday life. Now, the word creativity is a noun, and it means the use of imagination or original ideas to create something. It also means inventiveness. So if you think of the word invent, that means to make something new. And those of you who took part in Miss Hurst's lesson online last week, you'll have invented something to help with an everyday problem in school. So creativity is about making something new, using our imagination to come up with original ideas. I suppose a good question to ask is, where does our creativity come from? Does it come solely from our mind? Does it come from our talents and skills? Or does it come from our experiences? Or is it a mixture of all of those things together? And creativity is when we put all of our knowledge and our talents and experiences together, we come up with something really amazing. We're going to explore that in today's assembly. Now, Christians believe that God created the world and he made us in his image. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That line's taken from Genesis. And in a sense, all Christians believe that creativity is a God-given gift. It's something that was given to us by God and that we all exercise in our everyday lives. Just as he was the ultimate creative creator, creating the heavens and the earth, creating everything we see around us, God gave us a piece of that creativity in our everyday lives. Now, as children, you could argue that we're at our most creative because children ask why. They challenge established ways of doing things. They experiment, they play, as they learn, they find new ways of doing things that are established. And a real key to creativity is playing and experimenting and not being afraid to get things wrong. And children certainly are not afraid to get things wrong. So we could argue that they're at their most creative because for them, there aren't always set rules or established ways of doing things, and they can experiment. In a book by Roald Dahl called George's Marvellous Medicine, there's a young boy called George who finds a particularly creative way to deal with his nasty old grandma. And what I'd like to do is read for you an extract from George's Marvellous Medicine, where he decides he's going to make a potion to deal with Grandma. As George sat there pondering this interesting problem, his eye fell upon the bottle of Grandma's brown medicine standing on the sideboard. Rotten stuff it seemed to be. 4 times a day a large spoonful of it was shovelled into her mouth, and it didn't do her the slightest bit of good. She was always just as horrid after she'd had it as before she'd had it. The whole point of medicine, surely, was to make a person better. If it didn't do that, then it was quite useless. So-ho, thought George suddenly. Aha, ho-hum, I know exactly what I'll do. I shall make her a new medicine, one that is so strong and so fierce and so fantastic, it will either cure her completely or blow off the top of her head. I'll make her a magic medicine, a medicine no doctor in the world has ever made before. George looked at the kitchen clock. It said 10:05. There was nearly an hour left before Grandma's next dose was due at 11. Here we go then, cried George, jumping up from the table. A magic medicine it shall be. So give me a bug and a jumping flea, give me 2 snails and lizards 3, and a slimy squiggler from the sea, and the poisonous sting of a bumblebee, and the juice from the fruit of the jube tree, and the powdered bone of a wombat's knee, and 100 other things as well, each with a rather nasty smell. I'll stir them up, I'll boil them long, a mixture tough, a mixture strong, and then hey-ho, and down it goes, a nice big spoonful, hold your nose. Just gulp it down and have no fear. How'd you like it, granny dear? Will she go pop? Will she explode? Will she go flying down the road? Will she go puff in a puff of smoke, start fizzing like a can of coke? Who knows? Not I. Let's wait and see. I'm glad it's neither you nor me. Oh, Grandma, if you only knew what I have in store for you. Now, reading that, I'm not for one moment suggesting that anybody goes out and tries to make some kind of vile concoction of medicine to replace and give to their grandmas, because that would not be good or advisable. But what the essence of the story is that George has a problem and he finds a creative solution to that problem with lots of disastrous results. And the key to it is really Roald Dahl's writing. Roald Dahl is a really creative writer, and you can hear how he puts poetry into his stories to come up with really interesting rhymes and kind of a way to really create a humour within his story. If you haven't read George's Marvellous Medicine, I would definitely recommend it as a really easy read over the summer, but one that's really enjoyable. Now in society, it's not just writers and artists who are creative. We've got code makers and code breakers using computer code in new, interesting and creative ways to change the world. We have artists, designers, sculptors and architects all making our living environment a pretty, beautiful place to live. We have rocket scientists, doctors, pharmacists and researchers all finding new and creative ways to further society and further mankind, to prolong human life and to find cures to fatal diseases. We have composers, musicians and conductors who make the world sound that little bit better, who give us great pleasure in listening and hearing wonderful new tunes and songs. We've got athletes and sportsmen and sportswomen, free runners, people who use sport and their bodies in athletic ways to entertain us and to find new ways of pushing the body to the limits. There are poets and writers and journalists and critics all using the written word in a creative and engaging way, just as Roald Dahl did in George's Marvellous Medicine. But they make our lives so much richer for their creativity. I'm just going to show you a video. It lasts about 4 minutes, and it's about a group of men who come together to create music in a really interesting and engaging way, and they really think outside of the box. So I want you to think about their creativity and how they've channeled that creativity in a new and interesting way. And then, after the assembly, I want you to think about your own creativity. How do you channel yours? Where is your most creative outlet? What way does it come out? Or are you an inventor? Are you a thinker? Are you a writer or an artist? It doesn't matter what way your creativity comes out, but I bet you every single one of you who's watching has some kind of creative outlet. Watch the video, enjoy, and I hope you've enjoyed today's assembly. See you all soon, Year 6.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
I've been waiting for months, waiting for years, waiting for you to change. Oh, but there ain't much that's dumber, there ain't much that's dumber than pinning your hopes on a change in another. And I got to need you. What good's that gonna do? Needing is one thing, and getting's another. So I've been sitting around, wasting my time, wondering what you've been doing. months, hoping for years, hoping I might forget. Ah, but it don't get much dumber. It don't get much dumber than trying to forget a girl when you love her. And yeah, I still need you. But what good's that gonna do? Needing is one thing.